Are you under surveillance? Is there a way for you to tell if you are under surveillance? Who might put you under surveillance? Those are some of the questions we will discuss in this video. Surveillance is the process of monitoring or observing individuals, groups, places, or activities to gather information. Someone might want to gather this information through surveillance to help maintain security, mitigate losses such as those involved in insurance claims, or to control someone's behavior. The most popular forms of surveillance involve various methods, including physical observations, digital monitoring, or the use of cameras and other technology. Surveillance is often conducted by private individuals, organizations, governmental authorities, law enforcement, and, yes, private investigators. With all of the concerns about surveillance efforts, you must understand the concept of surveillance in today's ever-evolving data-centric world to protect your rights. One of the biggest challenges when it comes to protecting your rights to privacy involves the challenges of today's technologically driven society. As a society, we rely heavily on all kinds of gadgets and devices for communication, entertainment, work, and even everyday tasks. Technology has quickly become an integral part of our lives. We use daily, hourly, and even minute by minute everything from smartphones, tablets, laptop computers, social media platforms, email, and even smart home devices with built-in artificial intelligence. We seem to have this perceived need to connect with people anywhere, anytime, instantly, for any reason. We also need to access vast amounts of information to automate our daily tasks, make everything quick and simple, all in the name of efficiency and convenience. However, the truth be known, our reliance on technology also raises concerns about our privacy, security, and the impact of constant connectivity on our personal and business lives. This video is sponsored by OREP Insurance and Working PI Magazine. OREP is a leading provider of private investigator liability insurance. Visit orep.org for a quote today. All of our reliance on technology affects how surveillance is conducted today. Let's closely examine some of these signs that might point to you being under surveillance. Unusual patterns, observations, or changes to things in your daily routine is something to keep an eye out for. This might include unexpected visitors, unfamiliar vehicles in the neighborhood, unusual phone calls or messages, or other strange activities around you. Now, don't jump to conclusions too fast. Don't let paranoia set in. Just because you look out your window and see a car across the street that you don't recall ever being there before doesn't mean you are under surveillance. Just because you got 3 of what appeared to be scam phone calls before noon, it doesn't mean you are under surveillance. Just because you see a group of teenagers playing dodgeball in the middle of the road that you have never seen before doesn't mean you're under surveillance. You need to be aware of these things, record these activities, and then make logical decisions if they may be potential signs of surveillance over time. Chances are each of these observations has a very logical explanation. The new car across the street might be a visitor at a neighbor's house. The kids playing dodgeball may be associated with the new neighbors who bought the house down the street. The scam phone calls may be a coincidence, or, like in my case, a daily occurrence that I tend to forget about because I get so many calls daily. Keep this in mind. As soon as you start to look for signs that you may be under surveillance, you will most assuredly begin to see signs that you are under surveillance. We also need to be more aware of the technological indicators that we may be under surveillance. After all, technology is one of our most significant threats to becoming victims of surveillance today. If you start seeing strange phone behavior, this could be a sign that you are under surveillance. I'm talking about things like hearing unexplained noises during phone calls, sudden battery drains or overheating of your phone, and apps or settings being altered without your knowledge. Again, it doesn't necessarily mean you are under surveillance if you just notice these things. These are simply indicators that you might be under surveillance. There could also be very logical reasons that these things are happening. If you get a virus or malware on your phone, this could very well lead to all of these things happening. To be sure, if you get a virus or malware on your phone, it is most likely compromised, and that malicious software is surveilling you somehow. But you could simply have a bad battery with a short in it. A shorted out battery can cause it to drain quickly and overheat, and that overheating process can cause strange things to happen like icons disappearing, screen malfunctions, and other weird phenomena. Again, don't jump to conclusions. Once you start looking for signs you are under surveillance, you will see signs you may be under surveillance. There are some telltale signs that you may be under physical surveillance that we should look at too. Unfamiliar cars parked near your home, office, or places that you go on a regular basis need to be monitored. I don't mean that you need to monitor them physically. Instead, you need to note them, where the car is, when it is there, the license plate, and things like that. Then you can compare your notes daily to see if there is a pattern. Is the car there in the morning but not in the afternoon? Then it returns in the evening. If this occurs daily, then the pattern of activity with that car would lead one to believe it is just a neighbor's car that you never noticed before. But if you see a car on Monday, then again on a Friday, then it's gone for a week and a half and shows up on a Wednesday, it may be a sign of surveillance. Physical surveillance is often done on an irregular schedule to try to record activities on differing days. You also want to keep an eye out for vehicles with dark tinted windows. Most surveillance vehicles will have these shaded windows to help protect the person inside from the sun, as well to help them hide their presence inside the vehicle. Again, just because there are cars with dark tinted windows, it doesn't mean you are under surveillance. I know around here most people have tinted windows on their cars, so that is not a great indicator. But if you tie it in with other suspicious observations, you might be under surveillance. Another suspicious thing to watch for with physical surveillance is unexpected maintenance workers in the area, especially if they have a maintenance vehicle but they are not working on anything. Surveillance investigators often disguise themselves as utility workers because no one ever thinks twice about a utility truck in the neighborhood. But if it is there every day for specific time frames and you never see them actually out of the vehicle doing work, that could be highly suspicious. It is also good to know what the legal boundaries are regarding surveillance. What can they do and what can they not do? Now, really quick, I am not an attorney, nor do I play one on YouTube. Nothing I say is to be considered legal advice. This is merely my personal opinion based on my experiences. As well, the laws and legalities change from jurisdiction to jurisdiction, and when it comes to law enforcement and other government entities, the rules are often different. In most jurisdictions and cases, you have a legal right to reasonable expectations of privacy when it comes to surveillance. This generally applies to your private spaces, such as your home, a hotel room, or other dwelling places. It may also be applied to personal communications, meaning you have some privacy rights regarding your phone calls, emails, text messages, and other forms of communication. In your workplace, you may have certain reasonable expectations of privacy regarding your personal belongings, communications, and conversations, but this could depend on company policies too. People also often expect some level of privacy online that protects their online activities, social media posts, and digital communications. But most people do not realize that as soon as they accept those EULA, the end user license agreements for those online platforms, they have pretty much given up those rights. Online companies are notorious for surveilling their users and customers, all in the name of providing a better experience, which means they can socially engineer the experience to provide you with the advertising that you are more likely to relate to. And if they control that, they can also control what you see, when you see it, how you interact, and all of that other jazz. The bottom line is when it comes to your privacy online, you essentially have almost no reasonable expectations of privacy. Law enforcement and other governmental agencies have the power to seek search warrants that may remove, or shall I say, allow them to circumvent certain levels of that reasonable expectation of privacy. If a court allows them to, they could place listening or video recording devices inside your home, hotel room, or workplace. With a search warrant, they can monitor your phone, calls, text messages, and even those personal email communications. This type of legal surveillance is often very difficult, if not impossible, to detect. If you think you are under surveillance, here are some guidelines for you. First, stay calm and stay observant. Document everything that happens that makes you suspicious. Your notes, that documentation, can be used to validate if you are or not being surveilled. As well, it may help down the road to prove if illegal surveillance was being conducted. So keep a detailed record of all of your observations. Secure all of your information and accounts as well. Make sure you change passwords to your online accounts, email addresses, and all of your devices, and do not use the same password for any two devices or accounts either. Check your devices for viruses, malware, spyware, and tracking applications. This is our biggest challenge when it comes to being surveilled. If necessary, consult a computer forensics expert for assistance. Vary your routines, avoid predictable patterns, and change your commute route to and from work. They often refer to this as conducting an SDR or surveillance detection route. It is highly suspicious if you see the same car every day but are driving different routes. Don't be afraid to report your suspicions to law enforcement or a PI or an attorney. If you want to know how to do a personal space bug sweep of your house, then check out this video.